I am Napoleon Hill. For 25 years, I labored under the direct tutelage of Andrew Carnegie, the steel magnate, and I interviewed over 500 of the most successful men this world has ever known. I have seen the rise of empires and the fall of men who lack the iron internal structure required to sustain greatness. You are here because you seek the truth about your own potential. You want to know if the seeds of wealth have been planted within the fertile soil of your mind, or if you are merely wandering in a wilderness of wishful thinking. To the listeners of Iron Wisdom, understand this. Wealth is not a matter of luck. It is not a matter of chance. It is a mathematical certainty for those who align themselves with the immutable laws of the universe. If you possess these signs, you are not merely hoping for success. You are on the inevitable path toward it. Listen closely, for the furnace of life is hot, and only those with the proper temper will emerge as tempered steel. Sign number 1, you possess a definiteness of purpose. The man who wanders aimlessly through life, taking whatever crumbs the world deigns to throw him, is a man already defeated. Andrew Carnegie told me that the starting point of all achievement is the knowledge of what one wants. Look at your daily actions. Do they serve a singular, burning objective, or are you scattered like leaves in an autumn wind? If you have written down your goal, if you have fixed in your mind the exact amount of money you desire, and if you have determined exactly what you intend to give in return for that money, you have passed the first gate. This is the iron resolve. A man without a purpose is like a ship without a rudder, destined to be dashed against the rocks of poverty. But the man with a definite purpose finds that the world steps aside to let him pass. If you feel a singular pull toward a specific destination, you are already miles ahead of the masses who live in a state of perpetual drifting. Sign number 2. You have formed a mastermind alliance. No man can achieve great success alone. The concept of the mastermind is the coordination of knowledge and effort in a spirit of harmony between two or more people for the attainment of a definite purpose. If you find yourself seeking out those who are smarter than you, those who challenge your complacency, and those who possess the specialized knowledge you lack, you are showing the mark of a true leader. The iron wisdom is not found in isolation. It is forged in the collaborative heat of focused minds. If you have moved past the petty jealousies of the average man and have begun to surround yourself with a cabinet of advisors, whether in person or through the deep study of their works, you are building the infrastructure of a fortune. You recognize that your own brain is a broadcasting and receiving station, and you are tuning it to the frequency of excellence by associating with excellence. Sign number 3, you practice the habit of going the extra mile. This is the law of increasing returns. Most people do only what they are paid for, and they wonder why they are never paid for more than they do. If you have the internal drive to deliver more service and better quality than is expected of you, you are invoking a power that the average person cannot comprehend. This is the iron work ethic. By going the extra mile, you make yourself indispensable. You create a debt that the universe must eventually repay with interest. If you find yourself staying late when others leave, refining your craft when others sleep, and providing value that far exceeds your current compensation, do not be discouraged. You are not being exploited. You are investing in your own inevitable rise. The world is hungry for the man who does more than his share, and it will eventually reward him with the lion's share of the wealth. Sign number 4, you have developed applied faith. Faith is not a passive state of hope. It is an active state of mind. It is the iron conviction that you will reach your goal even before the physical evidence has manifested. If you can see your success in your mind's eye with such clarity that it feels real, you are utilizing the power of autosuggestion. You are reprogramming your subconscious mind to recognize opportunity where others see only obstacles. When a man has applied faith, he does not fold at the first sign of trouble. He knows that his mental blueprint is the precursor to physical reality. If you find yourself moving forward despite the doubts of your neighbors and the temporary setbacks of the day, you possess the spiritual steel required to build a financial empire. You are not waiting for proof to believe. You believe, and therefore the proof is being created. Sign number 5. You exercise absolute self-discipline. The man who cannot control his own mind will never control the wealth of a nation. Self-discipline is the iron gatekeeper. It is the ability to control your emotions, your appetite for distractions, and your tendency toward procrastination. If you can command yourself to act when action is required and to remain still when silence is necessary, you have mastered the greatest tool of success. Wealth requires the sacrifice of immediate gratification for the sake of ultimate achievement. If you find that you are the master of your habits rather than their slave, if you can say no to the fleeting pleasures of the moment to say yes to the mission of your life, then you are on the right path. You are building a character that is as unyielding as the mountains, and such a character is the only foundation upon which a lasting fortune can be built. Sign number 6. You have the ability to reach decisions promptly and change them slowly. I studied the habits of over 500 millionaires, and every one of them had the habit of reaching decisions promptly and changing them very slowly, if at all. Conversely, those who fail to accumulate money without exception have the habit of reaching decisions, if at all, very slowly, and of changing these decisions quickly and often. If you find that you trust your judgment, that you have the iron courage to make a choice and stand by it, you are exhibiting the trait of a high achiever. Indecision is a form of fear, and fear is the enemy of wealth. When you decide, you close the door to doubt, you commit your resources, you move with the weight of a locomotive. If you are a person of action who does not waver with every change in the social climate, you are destined for the heights. Sign number 7. You view failure as a seed of equivalent benefit. This is perhaps the most iron of all the principles. The average man sees failure as a stop sign. The successful man sees it as a laboratory. Every adversity, every failure, and every heartache carries with it the seed of an equivalent or greater benefit. If you have reached the point where you no longer fear defeat, but instead analyze it for the lesson it contains, you are invincible. You understand that temporary defeat is merely a signal that your plans were not sound. You rebuild those plans and charge forth once more, stronger for the struggle. If you can look at a loss and ask, "What is the lesson here?" instead of, "Why is this happening to me?" you have the mindset of a conqueror. You are using the fire of the furnace to temper your soul rather than let it consume you. Sign number 8. You possess a positive mental attitude. Wealth will not gravitate toward a mind filled with gloom, cynicism, and despair. A positive mental attitude, or PMA, is the iron magnet that attracts riches. This is not blind optimism. It is the deliberate choice to focus on the solutions rather than the problems. If you find that you are generally infectious with your enthusiasm, that you look for the good in people and the opportunity in every crisis, you are preparing your mind to receive wealth. Money is a form of energy, and it flows toward those who radiate a frequency of abundance. If you have purged your mind of the 7 basic fears, the fear of poverty, criticism, ill health, loss of love, old age, loss of liberty, and death, you have cleared the way for the inflow of prosperity. Your mind is a garden. If you plant the seeds of positivity, you will reap a harvest of gold. Sign number 9. You are becoming a specialist. General knowledge, no matter how great in quantity or variety, is of little use in the accumulation of money. The great universities possess almost every form of general knowledge known to civilization, yet most professors have little money. They specialize in teaching knowledge, but they do not specialize in the organization or the use of knowledge. If you are narrowing your focus, becoming the absolute best in a specific niche, and learning how to organize that knowledge into a definite plan of action, you are on the iron path. Wealth comes to those who know how to solve specific problems for a specific group of people. If you are obsessed with the mastery of your chosen field, and if you are constantly seeking specialized knowledge that gives you an edge, you are constructing a moat around your financial future that no competitor can cross. Sign number, total number 10. You have an unshakable persistence. Persistence is to the character of man as carbon is to steel. It is the iron quality that transforms a dream into a reality. Many start, but few finish. The path to wealth is long, and it is fraught with obstacles designed to weed out the weak. If you have the staying power to keep going when your bank account is empty, when your friends mock you, and when the results seem non-existent, you are being tested. If you pass this test, the world will eventually give up trying to stop you and will instead start helping you. Persistence is an insurance policy against failure. If you find that you simply do not know how to quit, that the word impossible has been stricken from your vocabulary, then you have the most essential ingredient for the accumulation of wealth. You are the master of your fate. You are the captain of your soul. Sign number 11. You have mastered the creative power of the imagination. The imagination is literally the workshop wherein are fashioned all plans created by man. The impulse, the desire, is given shape, form, and action through the aid of the imaginative faculty of the mind. In my years of research, I discovered that the great leaders of industry, men like Thomas Edison and Henry Ford, did not possess some supernatural gift. They simply refused to let their imagineering muscles atrophy. There are two forms of imagination, synthetic and creative. Synthetic imagination consists of the arrangement of old ideas, concepts, or plans into new combinations. Most people stop here, but the man destined for iron wealth taps into the creative imagination. This is the faculty through which the hunches and inspirations are received. It is through this faculty that infinite intelligence may communicate with the individual. If you find yourself constantly visualizing not just the end result, but the innovative pathways to reach it, if you see solutions where others see blank walls, you are activating this power. The man who can see a skyscraper before the first shovel hits the dirt, or who can see a global transportation system while others see only a horseless carriage, is the man who will eventually control the resources of the world. Your imagination is the blueprint of your future. Do not let it be filled with the dust of the status quo. Sign number 12. You understand the mystery of sex transmutation. This is a subject that many avoid due to a lack of understanding, yet it is one of the most potent forces in the human arsenal. The desire for sex is the most powerful of human desires. When driven by this desire, men develop keenness of imagination, courage, willpower, persistence, and creative ability unknown to them at other times. Sex transmutation is the act of redirecting this powerful physical energy into other channels, specifically the channel of creative effort. The man who can take that raw primal energy and harness it to power his definite purpose is a man who becomes a genius in his field. History is littered with men who reach the heights of success only to be brought low because they dissipated their vital energy in physical excesses. But the Iron Man understands that this energy is the fuel of his ambition. If you find that you have high levels of vitality and you are able to channel that drive into your work, your art, or your business, you are utilizing a biological engine that the average person wastes. You are not suppressing your nature. You are elevating it to the level of achievement. Sign number 13. You have conquered the 6 ghosts of fear. Before you can accumulate a fortune, you must clear your mental cupboard of the ghosts that haunt the unsuccessful. During my 25 years of labor, I identified 6 basic fears that act as the primary barriers to wealth. They are the fear of poverty, the most destructive of all, which paralyzes the faculty of reason. The fear of criticism, which robs a man of his initiative and destroys his power of imagination. The fear of ill health, which is often a result of negative autosuggestion. The fear of loss of love, which creates jealousy and suspicion. The fear of old age, the belief that one's utility fades with years. The fear of death, the ultimate terror of the unknown. The man of iron wisdom recognizes these for what they are, mental phantoms. If you have reached a state of mind where you refuse to worry about things you cannot control, and you have replaced fear with a definiteness of purpose, you have broken the chains. You cannot think in terms of poverty and riches simultaneously. One must dominate. If you have evicted these ghosts, you have made room for the golden guests of abundance and peace of mind. Sign number 14. You utilize the power of the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind consists of a field of consciousness in which every impulse of thought that reaches the objective mind through any of the five senses is classified and recorded. It is the connecting link between the finite mind of man and infinite intelligence. You cannot entirely control your subconscious mind, but you can voluntarily plant in it any plan, desire, or purpose which you wish to be transformed into its physical or monetary equivalent. This is the iron secret of the ages. If you are in the habit of feeding your subconscious mind with images of success, and if you protect it from the weeds of negative thoughts, you are enlisting a silent partner that never sleeps. If you find that your best ideas come to you in the shower, while walking, or just as you are drifting off to sleep, it is because your subconscious is working on the problems you gave it. The successful man trusts this process. He plants the seed, waters it with faith, and waits for the harvest. If you have begun to direct your subconscious through the daily practice of auto-suggestion, you are no longer a victim of circumstance. You are a creator of destiny. Sign number 15, you respect the brain as a broadcasting and receiving station. Every human brain is both a broadcasting and a receiving station for the vibration of thought. When your mind is vibrating at a high rate due to enthusiasm, intense desire, or the heat of the master mind, it becomes more receptive to the thoughts being broadcast by others. The Iron Man does not think in a vacuum. He is sensitive to the spirit of the times. He can sense opportunities in the air before they are headlined in the papers. If you find yourself tuning in to the thoughts of great leaders, or if you feel a strange resonance with certain ideas that seem to come from outside yourself, you are utilizing the radio of the mind. By keeping your station tuned to the frequency of success, you attract the people, circumstances, and ideas necessary for your advancement. If you are careful about the mental atmosphere you inhabit, ensuring it is charged with high vibration thoughts, you will find that luck seems to follow you. It is not luck, it is the law of mental telepathy and vibration in action. Sign number 16. You have developed a sixth sense. The sixth sense is that portion of the subconscious mind which has been referred to as the creative imagination. It is the apex of the philosophy of achievement. It cannot be understood or applied until the other 15 principles have been mastered. The sixth sense is not something you do. It is something you become. It is the state of mind where you are in such perfect harmony with the laws of nature that you receive warnings of impending dangers in time to avoid them, and notifications of opportunities in time to embrace them. When you have reached this stage, you no longer need to hustle in the desperate sense of the word. You move with a quiet, iron grace. You know things without knowing how you know them. If you have experienced moments of profound clarity where the entire path forward was illuminated in a flash, you have tasted the power of the sixth sense. This is the ultimate mark of the man who has transitioned from a seeker of wealth to a master of life. Sign number 17. You exercise the iron law of compensation. The great Emerson wrote of this law, and Carnegie lived by it. The law of compensation states that for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. In the realm of wealth, this means that you can never receive more than you give, and you can never give more than you will eventually receive. The man who seeks something for nothing is a fool who is trying to break a law of the universe. He may succeed for a moment, but the law will eventually catch up to him and strip him of his ill-gotten gains. If you, however, are focused on increasing the value you provide to the world, you are building a mountain of credit in the universal bank. If you find yourself asking, how can I serve more people, rather than how can I get more money, you have grasped the iron heart of the philosophy. Money is simply the shadow cast by the substance of your service. If you increase the substance, the shadow must grow. This is a mathematical certainty. Sign number 18. You have mastered the control of your emotions. The human heart is a tempestuous sea, and the man who allows his emotions to captain his ship will inevitably find himself dashed against the jagged rocks of ruin. There are 7 major positive emotions and 7 major negative emotions. The Iron Man knows that his mind cannot be occupied by both at the same time. One or the other must dominate. The positive emotions are desire, faith, love, sex, enthusiasm, romance, and hope. The negative emotions are fear, jealousy, hatred, revenge, greed, superstition, and anger. If you find that you have the iron strength to deliberately shut the door on anger when it knocks, if you can replace a feeling of revenge with the cold, hard logic of your definite purpose, you are beginning to control the chemical laboratory of your own soul. Most men are reactive. They are like thermometers, reflecting the temperature of the room. The successful man is a thermostat. He sets the temperature. When you master your emotions, you stop leaking energy. You become a closed circuit of power. You do not let a slight from a competitor or a betrayal by a friend derail your progress. You process the emotion, extract the data, and return to your mission. If you are the master of your internal climate, the external world can throw its worst blizzards at you, and you will remain warm and focused in the fire of your ambition. Sign number 19. You practice the habit of accurate thinking. Most people do not think. They merely rearrange their prejudices. Accurate thinking involves two fundamental steps. First, you must separate facts from mere information. Second, you must separate facts into two classes, the important and the unimportant. The iron thinker does not accept hearsay as truth. He does not allow his own desires to color his perception of reality. He looks at the world through a lens of cold, clear glass. If you find yourself seeking the why behind every what, and if you refuse to make decisions based on emotion or hunches that haven't been vetted by the fire of logic, you are practicing accurate thinking. Andrew Carnegie once told me that many a man has failed because he acted upon information that was nothing more than the biased opinion of a neighbor. The man of wealth knows that a fact is a sacred thing. He gathers his facts, weighs them in the scale of his definite purpose, and discards anything that does not serve the truth. If you possess the discipline to seek the truth, even when the truth is uncomfortable, you have the iron foundation required for greatness. Sign number 20. You are the master of your secret counsel. Every night before I go to sleep, I go into my mental laboratory and hold a meeting with my invisible counselors. I have invited the greatest minds of history, Socrates, Lincoln, Napoleon, Emerson, and Carnegie, to sit at a long table in my mind. I ask them for their wisdom. I imagine their responses based on the deep study of their lives and works. This is not a game of make-believe. It is a method of tapping into the collective intelligence of the ages. If you find yourself in constant conversation with the masters of your craft, if you ask yourself, how would the greatest man in my field handle this obstacle? You are forming an internal mastermind. You are the average of the people you associate with, and that includes the people you inhabit your mind with. If you have evicted the small-minded, the gossips, and the doubters from your mental council and replaced them with the giants of human achievement, your own stature will begin to grow to match theirs. This is iron mentorship available to anyone with the imagination to claim it. Sign number 21. You understand the value of creative quietude. We live in a world of noise, of clatter, and of endless distraction. The man who is always busy is rarely productive. There is a profound difference between activity and achievement. The Iron Man knows that the greatest ideas are not born in the marketplace, but in the silence. If you have a habit of setting aside time each day for meditated silence, time where you are away from the telephone, the newspaper, and the voices of others, you are practicing creative quietude. It is in these moments that the vibrations of infinite intelligence can be heard. It is when the mud of the day's activity settles that the water of the mind becomes clear. If you can sit in a room for an hour with nothing but a pad of paper and your own thoughts, and come away with a plan of action, you have a power that 95% of the population lacks. Wealth is first conceived in the stillness. If you respect the silence will eventually reward you with the iron insights that lead to fortune. Sign number 22, you have replaced wishing with burning desire. Everyone wants money. Everyone wishes for success, but a wish is a weak, watery thing. It has no bones. It has no iron. A burning desire is something entirely different. It is a hunger that consumes all other thoughts. It is a passion that makes sleep seem like a nuisance and food seem like an afterthought. When a man has a burning desire, he does not look for an out. He burns his bridges behind him. He stakes his entire future on his ability to reach his goal. If you find that your goal is the first thing you think of when you wake and the last thing you think of before you sleep, if you feel a physical pull toward your objective, you have moved past wishing. This desire is the iron fuel of the soul. It is the force that allows a man to endure the long night of struggle before the dawn of success. If your desire is so intense that you are willing to stake your life on its achievement, then its achievement is already a mathematical certainty. The universe cannot long withhold a prize from a man who refuses to take no for an answer. Sign number 23, you are a master of the 12 riches of life. Most people think of wealth only in terms of bank balances and gold bars. But as I sat at the feet of Andrew Carnegie, I learned that money is only one of the 12 riches. To be truly wealthy in the iron sense, you must possess them all. A positive mental attitude, the conductor of all other riches. Sound physical health, the vessel of achievement. Harmony in human relationships, the lubricant of life. Freedom from fear, the bridge to confidence. The hope of achievement, the spark of the soul. The capacity for faith, the link to infinite intelligence. Willingness to share one's blessings, the law of circulation. A labor of love, the true source of happiness. An open mind on all subjects, the trait of the learner. Self-discipline, the rudder of the ship. The capacity to understand people, the foundation of leadership. Economic security, the iron result of the first 11. If you are pursuing all 12, you are a balanced man. If you seek only the 12th, you will find that it tastes like ashes in your mouth when you finally attain it. True iron wisdom is the realization that money is a tool to be used, not a god to be worshipped. If you find yourself growing in character, health, and spirit as your bank account grows, you are a true success. Sign number 24. You recognize the power of personal magnetism. There is a quality that certain men possess, a vibration that draws others to them, that makes people want to cooperate with them, that makes their very presence command respect. This is not a mystery, it is personal magnetism. It is the result of a mind that is highly charged with enthusiasm and a body that is vibrant with health and sex energy. If you find that people naturally look to you for direction, or that you can feel the energy in a room change when you enter it, you are developing this iron attraction. You can increase this power by practicing the habit of sincere enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is to the salesman or the leader what the bellows is to the forge. It fans the sparks of an idea into a roaring fire. If you speak with conviction, move with purpose, and look men in the eye with a gaze that does not waver, you are broadcasting a frequency of power. People do not follow logic, they follow iron certainty. If you have that certainty, the world will beat a path to your door. Sign number 25. You have formed the habit of saving. No man can ever be free who is a slave to his debts. The habit of saving is the iron floor of your financial empire. Andrew Carnegie told me that a man who cannot save money cannot achieve great success, for the seeds of success are not in him. It is not the amount you save that matters initially. It is the habit. By setting aside a portion of everything you earn, even if it is only 10 cents out of a dollar, you are sending a message to your subconscious mind that you are a master of money rather than its servant. You are building a capital reserve that gives you the courage to seize opportunities when they arise. If you find that you have the self-discipline to live on less than you earn, you are building a wall of security that will eventually allow you to take the risks necessary for great wealth. A man with a cushion of capital thinks differently than a man who is one paycheck away from the street. The man with savings thinks with iron clarity. The man in debt thinks with the fog of fear. Sign number 26. You have eliminated the 7 basic fears of leadership. To lead men, one must be free of the internal tremors that cause others to falter. In my study of the 500, I found that the greatest leaders had purged themselves of the fear of being found out. They lived with integrity. The fear of being criticized. They knew their purpose was higher than the opinions of the small-minded. The fear of being replaced. They focused on becoming indispensable through service. The fear of loss of loyalty. They earned loyalty through their own character. The fear of poverty. They knew their mind was their real asset. The fear of ill health. They treated their bodies as the temples of their ambition. The fear of death. They were too busy living their legacy to worry about its end. If you find that you are no longer looking over your shoulder, if you are moving forward with an iron gaze, focused entirely on your mission, you have attained the state of the unstoppable leader. You have realized that the only person who can truly defeat you is the man you see in the mirror. My friends, what I have described to you over these 26 signs is nothing less than the alchemy of the soul. We are taking the raw base lead of average existence, and through the heat of these principles, we are transforming it into the iron gold of a master's life. Do not be overwhelmed by the scope of this philosophy. You do not need to be perfect today. You only need to be better than you were yesterday. The iron path is a path of constant, never-ending improvement. Look at your hands. Look at your mind. You possess the greatest machinery ever created by the Creator. You have a brain that can communicate with the stars and a spirit that can endure any hardship. The only thing standing between you and the wealth you desire is the willingness to apply these laws with iron persistence. The iron wisdom is not a gift. It is a conquest. It is a territory you must seize from the kingdom of doubt. You have the map. You have the signs. Now I ask you, what will you do with the next hour of your life? Will you drift back into the comfortable fog of the masses, or will you take the first step toward your empire? The furnace is waiting. The steel is ready. Forge your destiny.